Smith Show starts right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up is always the 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Got a lot of stuff to get into today. Because Duke, what a big-time game against Central Florida that was in the NCAA tournament last night. Zion Williamson is the real deal. We hope and pray that the New York Knicks or the Los Angeles Lakers will end up grabbing him in the upcoming NFL draft. The NFL draft lottery will determine that more likely than anything else. Obviously, that's something to get into. Of course, the Lakers have been eliminated from postseason competition. There are some quotes from LeBron to get into. The biggest news going on is Rob Gronkowski for the New England Patriots and how at 29 years of age, he has decided to retire from the sport of professional football. And we'll get into that in just a second. Forgive me for taking a left turn, though, and not starting with the obvious, because Rob Gronkowski would be the obvious, and the NCAA tournament will be the obvious, and I will get to that in just a second. I just got a couple of things on my mind I want to get off my chest. Because I'm pretty ticked off about it, and I am in a very, very good mood. But since something I read happened to annoy me, I'd rather get that out of the way first so I can go on with the rest of the show being in a slightly better mood. Because we all know that usually when I'm doing this show, I have attitude. And I'm unapologetic about that. Because I'll be the first to tell you, the first thing I think about is who's getting on my damn nerves. And after I figure that out and I get at them, then after that, I'll move on. Well, here's who's getting on my nerves right now. It'll be a combination of two people. It'll be John Mara and Steve Tisch for the New York Giants. You know, listen, you want to sit up there, you want to continue to bloviate in an attempt to justify your decision to trade Odell Beckham Jr. just a year after giving them about $95 million, about guaranteeing them $65 million, about giving them a $20 million signing bonus. Just 1 year or less than 1 year later, you decide that you want to let him go, and you want to let him go to the Cleveland Browns, even though, according to our very own Adam Schefter, there were several teams out there saying that they had a better offer on the table than what the Cleveland Browns offered the New York Giants and what the Giants ultimately accepted, which is a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and safety Jabril Peppers. You want to sit up there and act like you were justified in getting rid of Odell Beckham Jr., even though he was going to still cost you $20 million of dead cap space money? That's fine. That's fine. But I would deeply, deeply appreciate it if the New York Giants, who has been renowned as being a first-class organization, incredibly upstanding, would stop lying to our face. I mean, have some shred of decency. Could you do that? Could you stop lying to our face? Do you not understand, Mr. Morrow? Do you not understand, Mr. Tisch, that no matter how ticked off you claim you are, when you listen to the media and football aficionados questioning what Eli Manning brings to the table, do you not understand what damn fools you look like? Mr. Murray, you went on record. And in the process of singing Eli Manning's praises, Mr. Mara, did you realize that you confessed that when you called your grandchildren and told them boys that you were trading Odell Beckham Jr., you joked that both of them cried and that one of them still ain't speaking to you, if I remember what I read correctly. It's what you said. It's what you said. Now, you could make the argument that they were crying because, oh, my God, they're going to miss Odell Beckham Jr., who was their favorite player, why you were reticent and reluctant to move him, according to the reports. But if you're really, really telling the truth, they probably cried when you sat there and said, we're going to place our faith in Eli Manning. And let me be the first to say this to Mr. Dave Gettleman, the general manager for the New York Giants, and Mr. Tisch and Mr. Mara. Gentlemen, you really, really need to guard what you're saying. This is New York City. And there's a standard that we'd like for you to live up to. You are the gold standard, by the way. I don't know about it, JC. I don't know about it, John. Is it just me? Eli Manning has missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years. What am I missing? What am I missing? Jonathan, do you know that this man has the temerity, the unmitigated gall? I'm talking about Mr. Mara here, to be quoted in the papers saying that, you know what? He's really offended and taken aback by people who would believe he would make an emotional decision as opposed to a football decision. Well, what else can it be, sir? What else can it be? What am I missing? I mean, the man has missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years. What am I missing? Are we making this up? Eli Manning has missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years and 8 times in the last 10. Since 2008, John, the New York Giants have made the playoffs twice. Now, they won a Super Bowl once, 2011, and obviously they won in 2007, of course. But since 2008, they've won 1 Super Bowl. They've been to the playoffs twice. They've missed the other 8 years of the postseason. JC, John, Nuno, Cat, somebody help me here. Is that justification to move on from a quarterback? Is that justification? I mean, at some point in time, as New Yorkers, don't y'all have to stand up? Don't you have to stand up? Mr. Mara, with all due respect, what the hell are you talking about? We just making up what we see with Eli Manning overthrowing 1 minute, underthrowing another? We're making it up when we view him as a stationary target? Snails can't get arthritis. But Eli Manning's so damn slow, he looks like a snail with arthritis. He can't move. Eli Manning is one of those rare quarterbacks, Jonathan. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's one of those rare quarterbacks that I've seen go down at the sight of a pass rush. He doesn't even have to get hit. Eli Manning goes down before he gets hit. Now, this past year was an upgrade compared to what we've seen in recent memory from Eli Manning, to be fair. He completed 66% of his passes. That was a career best. Because if you've been paying attention to Eli Manning throughout his career, 48, 52, 57, 56, 60, 62, 62, 61, 59, 57, 63, 62, 63, 61%. And last year was a career best 66% from the, in terms of his completion percentage. Ladies and gentlemen, Eli Manning has been in the league since 2004. Last season was the first time he ever completed better than 63% of his passes. Does anybody have any idea how pathetic that is? Now, that's not to say it's entirely his fault. And that's not to say he's not a member of the First Family. And it's not to say he's not class personified. And it's not to say that you shouldn't support him in every way that you can. He does have 2 Super Bowl championships on his resume. And I totally get that. But to talk about him as if he is an untouchable and to proclaim it's just about football reasons when you have missed the playoffs 8 times in the last 10 years, Mr. Morrow, with all due respect, you are spitting in the face of New Yorkers while saying it's raining. It's offensive, sir. It's offensive. And I'm just going to say this. You shouldn't be saying that. You shouldn't be saying that. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I wanted to get to something else, too, because I got New York on my mind on this particular day before I get into a whole bunch of other stuff, okay? This is what I want to get into. John, do we have that sound from a Noah Syndergaard for the New York Mets? And if we don't have it, it's okay. Noah Syndergaard, when healthy, is a stud. Health has been an issue for him, no question about it. But he's an absolute stud. The brother can ball. He's a hell of a pitcher when healthy. But he's no Jacob deGrom. He's no Cy Young Award winner, not like this kid is. Jacob deGrom last year had a 1.70 ERA in 32 starts as a pitcher. And his record was only 10-9. What that tells you is he got absolutely positively no run support whatsoever. But he was still an ace. I mean, 217 innings pitched, 269 strikeouts. And when you look at him and what he brings to the table, there is no doubt that Jacob deGrom is a sensational pitcher, somebody that the Nets should value. So you would think that with Chris Sale getting about $30 million a year, or with Justin Verlander signing a 2-year, $66 million deal, and both of them, in one case, you're pitching for the reigning defending World Series champions in Boston. In the other case, you're a year removed from winning the World Series in Houston. You would think that a moribund franchise like the New York Mets, perpetual stepchildren to the New York Yankees, your only claim to fame in New York, as far as I'm concerned, is that Don Juan LaGreca is a fan. And you got the nerve to be holding out on paying Jacob deGrom? You got the nerve to hold out on rewarding this man, his money, his contract extension? If I were Jacob deGrom, I'd tell you to kick rocks. I'd pull my pants down probably and moon you on purpose. I mean, I'm going to say it, Jonathan. It ain't the most popular thing in the world. Figuratively speaking, I'd probably pass gas in the face of the Mets franchise if I was Jacob deGrom. How dare you not pay this man? Who the hell do you think you are? Who's this guy? Van Wagenen? That's his name, John? The new GM for the Mets? Who the hell do you think you are? Pay this man. He's all you got. He's all you got. But for those of you who don't want to listen to me, who might think this is Stephen A. on an emotional tirade, let's listen to his teammate, Noah Syndergaard, Thor, speak up on his behalf. Listen to this.
That's a different situation. I'm just going to kind of sit back and let it all unfold how it is. I think Jake's best pitcher in baseball right now. I think he deserves whatever amount he's worth. I think, I want to keep him happy. So when it does come time for him to reach free agency, he stays on our side, pitching for the Mets. I think they should quit all this fuss and pay the man already.
Amen, brother. Amen. And it's beautiful to hear a teammate coming to his defense. It's one thing to do it for a contemporary that's not on your team, because obviously you want players to get taken care of, et cetera, and that can mean more for you down the road. But this is Noah Syndergaard. And it's one of those situations where if you're playing for the Mets, if one person gets paid, it might force you not to get paid. You never know. And I don't have Noah Syndergaard's contract situation in front of me, but that's not the point. The fact of the matter is, when you got a stud like Jacob deGrom, you pay him. You pay him. This is why the Nets have spent the vast majority of their franchise history stinking up the joint. Once again, other than Jacob deGrom, you know that you're a pathetic franchise when all you've got is Don Juan LaGreca. And I don't say that to knock Don. That's my buddy, my brother. I love him. I'm not talking. I'm just saying he's not playing. He's a commentator. I mean, John, I'm not playing, John. I'm saying it's a legitimate argument that can be made that the only thing relevant about the Mets, other than Jacob deGrom pitching for them, is that Don Juan LaGreca is a big fan of this. That's it. Michael K's co-host, 98.7 FM. For those of you throughout this country that might not know who the great Don Juan LaGreca is, you should know. Mr. Hockey. Also an incredible, knowledgeable Mets fan. Contaminating himself and his life rooting for this pathetic franchise. You gotta be kidding me. The hell you think you are not to take care of Jacob deGrom? Pox on your damn house. Pay him. Back to the land of the living. Rob Gronkowski, New England Patriots. He has decided to call it quits. For those of you who do not know, Rob Gronkowski, three-time Super Bowl champion, in some people's eyes, the greatest tight end to have ever played football. We know about those 81 receptions. I think it was like 81 receptions, like 12 touchdowns in his postseason career. Career cut too short at age 29 thinking about his health. Knee injuries, elbow injuries, back injuries, etc. The punishment that he has had to absorb, the things that he has been subjected to, he's decided to call it a career. Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, who did a fabulous job with Antonio Brown, by the way, said that Rob definitely could end up playing again. He wouldn't rule it out, but he has officially retired, etc., etc. I would tell you, the bottom line is simple. Rob Gronkowski has had so many injuries in his career. You can't blame him. He's retiring after 9 seasons, 79 receptions, third most in NFL history, before age 30, trailing only Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. Also keep in mind that Rob Gronkowski, when he does go into the Hall of Fame, might be one of the top 3 youngest guys in the history of the sport to go in the Hall of Fame. I think behind Jim Brown and one other guy who I don't remember at this particular moment in time. Let me say this. This discussion as to whether or not Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end to have ever played football, it's a worthy discussion, warranted by his multifaceted skill set. You can put him on either side of the line of scrimmage at the tight end spot. You can put him as a wideout. You can ask him to run rights in between the seams or outside the numbers. You can have him running in motion out of the backfield. And obviously, he was a highly successful and exceptional blocker. He welcomed the challenge of assisting the offensive line in blocking to facilitate a better running game. It's not an accident why James White and others for the New England Patriots performed well when Rob Gronkowski was on the field, and why they had a prolific running attack in New England. Sony Michel and all of those boys, because Rob Gronkowski was one of those dudes blocking at the line of scrimmage. The guy is sensational. There's no question about it. Here's my issue, ladies and gentlemen. I am in no position to sit up there and tell you that he should be considered a better tight end than Tony Gonzalez. I'm in no position to do that. If you really, really look at it and you see what Rob Gronkowski brings to the table, over 700 receptions, well, Tony Gonzalez has damn near triple that amount. You look at Rob Gronkowski, over 7,000 yards receiving. Tony Gonzalez over 15,000 yards. I'm looking at a guy like Rob Gronkowski who's had Tom Brady throwing the football to him his entire career. we look at Tony Gonzalez. Yeah, Rich Gannon, Trent Green, Damon Heward, Elvis Gerback. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, a legitimate argument could be made, and Rich Gannon once could ball until he was beyond his prime. But a legitimate argument could be made. Tony Gonzalez didn't have a real quarterback throwing him the football until he got to Atlanta when Matt Ryan was there. A legitimate argument could be made at that. I mean, that's just the truth. So when you try to compare him, if you want to do like this, let me tell you the greatest argument that you can make for Rob Gronkowski being in the discussion for the greatest quarterback. First of all, there is no argument. He's clearly in the discussion. The question is whether or not he's the greatest ever. Ozzie Newsome, Shannon Sharp, Tony Gonzalez, etc. I mean, it's some choices to pick from. John Mackey back in the day. I mean, there's choices to pick from. But the bottom line is this. When you look at it from the standpoint of Rob Gronkowski, here's the greatest argument you can make. Using a basketball analogy, he's the Bill Walton of football. Bill Walton only played 10 years in the NBA. The last 2 didn't really count. The first 4 really, really counted when he got at the Portland Trailblazers to an NBA championship after they were down 2-0 to Dr. J. Julius Erving and those boys in Philadelphia in the 77 NBA Finals, and then Walton took over. Here's the reality. Bill Walton never averaged more than 18 points a game in his professional career. Last 2 seasons, he averaged around 7. Bill Walton didn't play half the years Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played. Nearly half the years is Wilt Chamberlain. But Bill Walton, there is no way that you could talk about the great, great centers in the history of the NBA. From Mikan to Chamberlain and Jabbar to Lanier and Artis Gilmore to Shaq and some of those guys weren't great. They were good, but they weren't great. But the great ones like Shaq and these boys. Bill Walton's in the discussion of greatness. Of course, we can't forget the ultimate champion, Bill Russell. Bill Walton is in the discussion as one of the greatest because his skill set was so surreal. You looked at him and all you saw were injuries in his way. There was no question based on how he performed on the court when healthy, even in pivotal situations, of his greatness. It's just that the tenure wasn't long enough because he was saddled with injuries. That's the same thing you can say about Rob Gronkowski. But that's about it. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Whole bunch of stuff to get into, and I'm not going anywhere. It's just me and y'all today. I want to talk to my listeners, so I'm here all day long until 3 o'clock anyway, the next 2 hours. Don't touch that dial. It's Stephen A. right here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, by the way. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. If you haven't tried the delicious high-quality meat from ButcherBox, guess what? You're going to be blown away. ButcherBox brings you the meat the way it's meant to be so you can get all of the benefits you're supposed to get. Unbelievable flavor and unparalleled nutrition. They work closely with the best farms and companies committed to raising animals humanely. And that's very, very important, people, especially the God-fearing individuals such as myself. From grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska, ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from customizable boxes and a variety of options to choose from. And ButcherBox comes at an affordable price as well. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best tasting meat from ButcherBox for less than $6 a meal. Now think about that for a second, ladies and gentlemen. A month's worth of best tasting meat. Free shipping for less than $6 a meal. Think about how much money you spend on nonsense. And now here you are in a position to spend money, feasibly so, on good, healthy, wholesome meat. Think about that. ButcherBox is offering my listeners free ground beef for the life of your subscription and $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. Don't miss out on this special offer at butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's butcherbox.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V.
I heard Nick callers today saying, let's get John Morant. If we win the lottery, we should draft him instead of Zion. This tournament does so much good for so many of these programs to raise their profile and celebrate the sport. It's great. But the negative to this tournament is because it's the only thing that everybody in America kind of, gathers around the water cooler, fills out a bracket in your office pool. This is what we watch. We have a tendency to vastly overrate the results that March Madness produces. So as great as the NCAA tournament is, it is the single worst way to determine a champion in any sport if you want an authentic champion. How many World Series would the Yankees have won throughout baseball history if every series they played immediately was advanced to Game 7? How many championships would the Golden State Warriors right now have if every playoff series they had immediately advanced to Game 7? The only other sport that plays an automatic one and done as part of their playoffs is football. And you have no choice but to play it that way in football. And every year there is kind of an eye-opening upset in the NFL playoffs, college football as well, because it's automatically Game 7. And the nature of basketball, the best teams in the country are going to lose 3 or 4 games, which is like 1 out of every 8 to 10 games they play, which means there's a 1 in 10 chance they're going to lose one of these games in the NCAA tournament, and you're going to win 6 of them in a row to win the national championship. If all of the playoffs and all the other sports were immediately advanced to Game 7, you'd have radically different opinions of players and teams and coaches than you have that have won championship after championship, because they've got the much larger sample size of home court advantage in 7-game series to prove themselves.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Let me get right into it. I was just distracted because I was looking at MLB.com. Allison Footer wrote an article, her power rankings for Major League Baseball this season. She's got Houston at number 1 because Altuve, who was playing with a broken kneecap, and Correa, who was fighting lower back issues much of the season last year, they're back. And plus they added Brantley to the lineup along with, that already employs Bregman. So she's got the Astros at number 1. I don't agree with that. I think they should be at number 2. I think the Red Sox should be at number 1 because Benintendi, Bradley Jr., and Betts, obviously, with the core of your outfield in place, and you locked in Chris Sale with his deal. I just think that Boston, they're the reigning defending World Series champions, and they should be the team to beat until further notice. And, of course, the Yankees, once again, have irritated me because the season hasn't started yet. Severino, Betances, Zapathia, Hicks, all will be out. They all will be out to start the season. All right? Bullpen's fine even without Betances. We get all of that. And they do start off, so 16 of their first 21 games are against the Baltimore, Detroit, the Chicago White Sox, and Kansas City Royals. So they should be all right, but still. I like those 3, though. But it's not in that order. It would be Boston 1, Houston 2, the Yankees 3. That would be it for me. That's all I'm trying to say. Yes, the Dodgers are on the outside looking in the top 10. In fact, starting to get tired of the Dodgers. I'm almost at the point with the Dodgers, John. If you ain't going to win the damn World Series, how about this? Don't go. Just don't go. Stop teasing Los Angeles. How about that? I'll get into some other stuff about the Los Angeles in a second. In a few minutes, rather. Especially with what LeBron James had to say. But I wanted to get into last night and what I saw Duke winning that thriller against University of Central Florida, UCF. Johnny Dawkins, head coach. Okay? For UCF. Let me say this, please. Let me say this right now. Johnny Dawkins' son can play some basketball. This kid, Aubrey Dawkins, Ladies and gentlemen, he almost beat Duke by his damn self last night. He was flat out balling. Ain't no way around it. I was incredibly impressed with what I saw from him. I was incredibly impressed with what I saw from him. I just want to make sure everybody understand that. Because I saw this brother ball last night. Hit 12 of his 18 shots, 5 of 7 from three-point range, finished with 32. Aubrey Dawkins can ball. Got nice size on him. Looks like he got a shot. And everybody making all this noise about Taco Fall. Listen, he could play some defense. He could block some shots. And he was true to form. He said he wasn't going to let Zion Williamson dunk on him. He did say that. And he was true to it now. Now, ultimately, it forced him to foul out because while he wasn't willing to really defend against anybody else to try and keep himself out of foul trouble, he tried to contest every Zion Williamson shot. And I think it came back to bite him. Ladies and gentlemen, Zion Williamson is a man amongst boys. Could have easily got called for an offensive foul near the end. Not on the layup, the and one that he scored on Taco, that fouled Taco out, even though he didn't convert the free throw. I'm talking about en route to that play when he pushed off one guy and spun into the lane to elevate damn near over the 7'6" Taco Fall. Zion Williamson is a man amongst boys. He's got a set shot, not a jump shot. He can get to the rim on anybody and can elevate. He's got ball handling skills. He can elevate unlike most others. It's special to watch. But here's the flip side, and here's my problem. Duke can't hit threes, and they can't hit free throws. That's why I got North Carolina winning this tournament. Did y'all know? I'm sorry to brag. I'm sorry to brag, but it's a rare moment. John, I don't know if you noticed, John Nuno. I don't know if y'all noticed. My bracket is better than 99% of the brackets out there. They said I'm in the top 1%. I picked these games now. I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. Now, let me be very clear. I was sweating bullets last night. I didn't want Zion and Duke to lose. It's the best player in college basketball. And let's call it what it is. He is box office. I don't want him home early. I want Zion Williamson playing all the way into the national title game. And then I want North Carolina to knock him off. And I shouldn't say want, because I got love for Coach K and the Duke program. But I love me some Roy Williams in Carolina too. And that rivalry is what I consider to be the best in sports. Could you imagine if they're playing for the national championship game, just 8 miles apart, the national championship on the line? That would be something to behold. I'm here to tell you something right now. Zion gonna show up. This is what he has proven to me. He will show up. Zion ain't choking. If a shot falls, it falls. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But he ain't choking. He's calming. Here's where the problem lies with Duke. They're college kids, so I'm trying to be nice. Because they're college kids. And I'm rooting for them. I'm not rooting against anybody. Trey Jones can't shoot the damn basketball. He's lost all his confidence. He really has. He shot 5 of 15 from the field. 1 of 8 from three-point range. Ladies and gentlemen, people were running away from him when he had the ball to go and guard other people, begging him to shoot. They were 10 feet away from him, jabbing at him as if they were going to come back and contest the shot because they got in his head he was so awful shooting the basketball. Duke will not win the championship if that happens. Not unless Trey Jones makes shots. Because you see, when Trey Jones doesn't make shots, you can't take him out of the game, even though I was thinking Coach K should have. You can't take him out of the game because you need him in there to defend and run the show. His defense is critical because he's damn good defensively. And when he's got the ball in his hands, that enables Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett to play off the ball and potentially do some things. My attitude was you should have benched Trey Jones, put the ball in RJ Jarrett's hands, okay? And RJ Barrett, I'm sorry, and let RJ Barrett handle ball handling responsibilities because at least he's a threat to score with the ball in his hands. And Cam Reddish, I know he hit 5 of 8 shots. I know he hit 3 or 4 from three-point range, including a pivotal 3. He finished the game with 13 points. Cam Reddish, wherever you are, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed. To have his size, this dude's a legit 6'6", 6'7". and can shoot. And's got a nice size in him, nice athleticism, nice skills. He's got NBA talent, but his collegiate resume is not that impressive. He's inconsistent and very sporadic shooting-wise. And if you can't figure that out on a collegiate level, why should I have faith that you're going to do that on the NBA level? And by the way, while we're speaking on this issue, I haven't had an opportunity to speak about my man Tom Izzo. Haven't had an opportunity to do that. And by the way, the Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. So make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Plus, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Insure your boat, motorcycle, or RV at Progressive.com. I saw the news about Tom Izzo yelling at his players. I believe it was like last Thursday night. I swear to you know what, if y'all don't get y'all act together, I swear, I just don't know what the hell I'm going to do with you people. Parents out there, will you stand the hell up? Authoritative figures, will you stand the hell up? Adults everywhere, will you stand the hell up? Stop being a bunch of wusses. He yelled at one of his players, he got in their face, and that is cause for national headlines. What the hell is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? You can't yell at a player now? I don't even know what movement to blame this on. Is this Me Too's fault, John? Or whose fault is it? I don't know. What the hell is wrong with y'all? He can't yell at a player? You that damn soft? You got to be kidding me. This is unbelievable that Tom Izzo even was subjected to the point of having to explain himself is an embarrassment to America. What the hell is wrong with y'all? So what? He yelled. Get over it. He's holding them accountable. Something's wrong with this country. Something is wrong with this country. It's becoming a national embarrassment. Some of the stuff that we cause headlines for. It's becoming a national embarrassment. That this man, a coach, has to explain why he yelled. Oh, thank God John Chaney's retired. Thank God John Thompson's or Nolan Richardson's retired. Don't get me started with Bobby Knight, who was a bit excessive, no doubt. Y'all got to be kidding me. Oh, by the way, Roy Williams, did you know that you were committing a crime according to these folks out here? Roy Williams from North Carolina? He yells all the time. Come on! Really? Now it's infiltrating our sports. I mean, why don't you just ask us all to put on diapers? Why don't we just get it over with? John, get rid of your pants. Wear diapers. Put on diapers. That's what you're asking us to do? Just put on diapers now. It's all over. It's all over. Everybody's being pacified. Where's John? Jonathan Winthrop, look at me when I'm talking to you. Where's my bib? Where's my bib? I need a bib. That's the damn world we're living in. He yelled at his player. Didn't put his hands on him, didn't hit him, nothing. He yelled at his player. Bib and diapers. At this rate, that's what we're gonna ask. That's what we're gonna ask these players to wear. It's a damn shame. It really is. It's embarrassing. It really is. 888-SAY-ESPN. Listen live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. If you missed any of my opening segment today, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast. Brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Hey, what's in your wallet?
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. We are coming to you live from Seaport District at Pier 17, brought to you by Chase. See, here's exactly what I'm talking about right here. Michael Thompson, our partner at 710 ESPN LA, going off about Izzo. He's saying you don't have to coach like that, blah, blah, blah. See, that's the softness. That's the softness that I'm talking about there. Now, if Izzo had put his hands on somebody, that's different. We talking about any kind of assault or anything like that. That's different. But when we are creating national headlines because a coach yells in the face of a player, we have lost our ever-loving minds. We've gotten too soft. We've gotten too soft. Everything's a federal case. Everything. Harassment, assault, those are legitimate issues. Somebody yelling in your face who happens to be a coach that you elected to go and play for, that's a headline. We done lost our minds. Talk to y'all in hour number 2. See how I did?
Hey, Portal called Dad? What's up, buddy?
I'm down here. I'm trying to put together this.
The Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
At you every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888 say ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. By the way, you never know. You know what never goes out of style? Surprising a friend or loved one with a buy one, get one free multicolored rose bouquets for $29.99 from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Before I get to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN, it's 888-729-3776. A couple of things I want to get into. LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers have been officially eliminated from postseason competition. LeBron James was quoted as basically, tweeting or Instagram. I don't know what it was. But he basically made a promise to Laker Nation that, you know what, this will not continue. The trend will be broken. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have her directly in front of me. Doesn't matter. Here's the point that I wanted to make to LeBron James. I will come to his defense all day, every day, in terms of people really going at him excessively and unnecessarily, questioning his commitment to excellence, whether or not he wants to win, etc., etc. I think that's unfair to him. I think he deserves better than that. The manner in which he takes care of himself, his body, and the whole bit, the conditioning that he puts forth, the way that he performs on the field, on the court of play. He goes out there and competes every night. Give him credit where credit is due. Don't disrespect the 3-time champion and a 4-time league MVP, who, by the way, played all 82 games last year, who, by the way, should have been sitting down weeks ago and has been playing and showing up to entertain the fans at the Staples Center and beyond. Let's give credit where credit is due in that regard. Having said that, let me say this. LeBron James, you don't get to say the playoffs as if that's all we're talking about here. Let's understand that LeBron James has one mission in the eyes of Laker Nation. That's to deliver a chip. Elgin Baylor retired in 72. Longtime Laker, failed to deliver a championship. In 72, he had an opportunity to do so, retired earlier on in that season. They ended up winning the championship, the lone championship in the career of Jerry West with the Los Angeles Lakers, if I remember correctly. Here's the deal. Outside of Elgin Baylor, every single marquee Los Angeles Laker, dating back to the 50s, 48, 50s, has delivered a chip. From George Mikan to Wilt Chamberlain, to Jerry West, to Irvin Magic Johnson, to James Worthy, to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to Shaquille O'Neal, to Kobe Bryant. every single marquee individual who's ever worn the purple and gold has delivered the championship. LeBron James, you don't get to be absolved from that. We see you got your show, The Shop. We see you making movies. We see you got a new show, The Millionaire Challenge, whatever the hell that is, with Tim Tebow hosting it, about to come on the national airways. You get all that? Congratulations. Bravo. Bravo. I'm so touched. Laker Nation wants a championship. Ain't about making the playoffs. That's not the mandate that you came here for. They didn't come here for you to end the 5-year drought of missing the playoffs. They would have been happy to make the playoffs this year. We understand it didn't happen because you got injured on Christmas Day and you were never the same since. We get all that. But understand, the chip is what it's all about. That is the mandate that LeBron James supposedly has arrived in Los Angeles to accomplish. Not just Hollywood to become a media mogul. And a Hollywood mogul. No, that's not what this is. It's about championships. That's what this is about. It's about championships. Let's be very, very clear. And let's understand that's what the mandate is. And that it's incumbent upon LeBron James to highlight and verbalize that to Laker fans, because right now they're a bit salty on him because they feel that his attention is a bit divided. Fair or unfair? Now let me get to story number 2. Jason Kidd, according to our very own Adrian Wojnarowski, NBA insider extraordinaire, will be strongly considered to be the next head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. I am here to tell you that I have been told that is not going to happen. Adrian Wojnarowski is the insider extraordinaire. It's rare in the day he's wrong about anything. And I'm not saying he's wrong now. I don't know. He's my buddy, my contemporary and colleague. I respect the hell out of him. And even if he is wrong, damn it, as much as he gets right, he's entitled. He has my profound respect. I'm just telling you that the Lakers made it a point to get word to me this morning, Jason Kidd is not an option. Brooklyn Nets, ultimately Milwaukee Bucks, they don't think he would be the right fit for them. They believe that Ty Lue warrants strong consideration. The former coach in Cleveland, who took the Cavaliers to 3 consecutive championship series, who won a championship in Cleveland as the coach of the Cavaliers after being down 3-1, who repeatedly made adjustments from the regular season to the postseason, who once won like 22 playoff games straight, if I remember correctly. I don't know what the number was. Here's the deal. Ty Lue is proven. LeBron respects the hell out of him. Wouldn't mind him being the next coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. These are all true things. I'm going to tell you another name who should be on that list. It should be Mark Jackson. My colleague here at ESPN and ABC, who calls games most of the time with Mike Breen and or Jeff Van Gundy. Mark Jackson has been screwed over. Joe Lacob, Peter Guber and those boys, they made the right decision clearly and decided to move on from him because they've went to 4 straight NBA finals and they won 3 championships. There is no arguing the impeccable resume of Steve Kerr. There's just no arguing it. He's that great. He's proven to be that great of a coach, and he deserves our respect and our deference, or reverence rather. But that doesn't mean that Mark Jackson doesn't warrant capturing one of the other 29 jobs in the National Basketball Association. If Billy Donovan wasn't doing so well in Oklahoma City, I would have said that would have been the perfect job for him. Obviously, LA is another opportunity. He warrants strong consideration. His resume, his ability to call and discuss and vibe with today's generation of players in today's game is something that cannot be ignored. And more importantly, when you have that kind of resume, you shouldn't be ostracized the way that he has been ostracized. Any more than a guy like Joe Dumars should be ostracized from being an executive in the National Basketball Association, considering the fact that he once got the Detroit Pistons to 6 straight NBA, the Eastern Conference Finals, and back-to-back NBA Finals appearances, along with an NBA championship. He's the guy that hired Rick Carlisle. He's the guy that hired Larry Brown. He's the guy that hired the late Flip Saunders. God bless his soul. The bottom line is Joe Dumars has proven himself. Scott Perry, the general manager for the New York Knicks, who's pretty damn good at his job, by the way, worked under Joe Dumars. I have a hard time stomaching the fact that two individuals like this, clearly qualified and beyond competent for these jobs, aren't even being given a look. There's a problem with that. And I'll leave it there for now. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. By the way, John Morant, probably going to be the number 2 overall pick in the draft, considering the way that he performed for Murray State this year. That brother can play. He's special. He's a special talent. But I told y'all I wanted to see him against stiffer competition. And when he went against Florida State, it was a hell of a lot different than going against Marquette, wasn't it? I mean, that was like a dunk line. They were just too big for Murray State. Didn't have a chance. But that doesn't mean he's not going to be a special pro. I think he'd be worthy of the number 2 overall pick, and I'd love to see New York or LA get him. By the way, one other note before I go to the calls. I'm incredibly sad about a story about LeVar Ball and Lonzo Ball and the Big Baller brand. Lonzo Ball, for those of you who don't know, point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers, decided to sever all ties with the Big Baller brand. Apparently, his father's partner and a longtime family friend by the name of Alan Foster. I don't know what happened, but essentially $1.5 million are unaccounted for. Lonzo and those folks informed his father, showed his father the paperwork, whatever the case may be. His father issued a statement last week how stunned and shocked and disappointed he was and how this will bring the family together and this matter will get resolved, etc., etc. Subsequently, in the days to follow, we learned that Lonzo had taken himself along with his 2 little brothers, deleted all stuff of the Big Baller brand and other things, all imagery and beyond of their father off of their social media pages. According to reports, the sons are potentially estranged from the father. I don't know anything about that, and I'm not about to comment on it. What I would say is this. I'm incredibly sad. For a long, long time, regardless of the narrative that's been put out there about black men who are fathers, I don't know too many black men who are not good fathers. Most fathers I know from the black community are incredibly loving and protective of their children. Some are fortunate enough to be able to provide better than others. So from a monetary perspective, that can't be ignored, but make no mistake about it. There are people, black men, who love their children and want to do what's best for their children. And this narrative about fathers, particularly from the black community, has vexed me for a very, very long time. Other people from other ethnic groups are single parents or divorced parents, and nobody talks about their family. So I just want to put that out there, because I know that that's the narrative that people are going to jump on when it comes to LeVar. I'm not going to disrespect that man like that. Do I like that when his son got caught trying to steal something from a store in China, that he act like it was no big deal? No, I do not like that. I thought that was a bad message to send. Do I like the fact that he yanked his son out of UCLA the second things didn't happen the way he wanted to? No, I did not like that. Do I like the fact that he yanked his other son out of high school and took them both to Lithuania? I did not like that either. Do I think that he has had a negative effect on Lonzo and his sons in terms of the decisions that he's been willing to make? Yes, I do. But parents make mistakes sometimes. It doesn't mean they don't love their children. And sometimes in a quest to do what you think is best for them, even at times when you appear to get caught up, it doesn't mean you don't love your children. And I think that what's going to happen with LeVar is that a lot of people are going to turn towards him and they're going to be like, he was about himself. He didn't give a damn about his kids, blah, blah, blah. And I just think that that's incredibly cruel to say. I can't do that to that man. I just can't. I could have a problem with his decisions. I could question whether they were in great judgment or not. But I will not question the intent of a father who I believe unquestionably loves his children. I just won't be a part of that discussion. As a result, I think Lonzo will be better off for it. I think the influence of LeBron James and Magic Johnson clearly had a role in all of this. I don't think for 1 second that they spoke against his father or anything. That's not what I'm implying. What I'm saying is they're role models. And if you're a young guy in the NBA looking to extend your brand beyond the court of play and into the business world, who better to listen to than LeBron James and Magic Johnson? They're two iconic figures in that regard. And if you have them right at your doorstep to espouse their words of wisdom to you, I have no doubt that Lonzo Ball was smart enough to seek it. And I have no doubt that Magic and LeBron were both sensitive and compassionate enough to provide it. Because they're two decent brothers who care. Where the Ball family goes from here, all I can say is my prayers are with you. And I mean that sincerely. I don't wish a negative thing against LeVar Ball or Lonzo or anything like that. We ain't talking basketball here, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking life. I got news for you. It is no laughing matter, and it is nothing to ridicule or to make fun of 3 children appearing to have estranged themselves from their dad. That is not good. And all I can say is that if I were a father of 3 sons, and I was in this position right now that LeVar Ball appears, because we don't know, appears to find himself in, the level of pain I would be feeling emotionally couldn't even be measured. 888 say ESPN. Let's go to the phone. Kathy, you're live with Stephen A. How are you?
Honor and a privilege to talk to you, and I also have to say I'm a big Michigan State fan.
Okay.
And I have them in the Final Four. And I think this time, considering last year they beat North Carolina, that I think they can take the whole tournament.
Well, they can. I mean, they've got the talent. Nick Ward is not in the starting lineup, but he's back from being injured. I like this kid Cassius. I like a few of their players on there, and I respect the hell out of Tom Izzo. So I'm willing to say to you that I think they could, but I don't know if I would give them the edge over Duke. I just don't know if I would do that.
And when it comes to talking to his players, me and my husband, we watched the other evening.
Champion, any coach yelling all the time. He doesn't have a taste for that. Some players do, some players don't. I get all of that. All I'm saying is it's not a matter whether you agree or disagree with it or not. The issue that I have is that it became a national headline because he yelled at a player. That's the issue that I have. You're physically harming somebody, harassment, assault, things of that nature. That's different. I'm talking about the softness of our society where everything has morphed into a federal case. We should be ashamed of ourselves for overreacting this way. We really should. Champ, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, man.
What's up, boss?
Talk to me, man. What's up?
Laker Nation. I'm not feeling Jason Kidd either, but I think it's a three-headed race. If I'm playing the GM role or the president of basketball operations with the Lakers, you got to take a look at Nate McMillan at Indiana. Mm-hmm. You got to look at your boy down in Dallas. And, you know, my choice would be
I don't know
Mark
if you
Jackson.
can make Nate McMillan because I don't know if you can get him out of his contract.
I believe you can. It's not the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm the Lakers, I'm going a full-fledged for Mark Jackson.
Well, you are. I think
like
the other part, let me get back to that Indiana point for a second. I think the other part you're missing is that you never know how salty things are between the Lakers and Indy. Because remember when Magic Johnson had to get that fine because the Indiana Pacers complained about Magic being on Jimmy Kimmel and winking at Paul George before he was traded to OKC.
Absolutely. But remember, Magic been on record saying that he has a coach in the NBA that's currently coaching. So I just threw those two guys out.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I say Mark
by the way, I
Jackson,
missed it. Who were the two before you mentioned Mark Jackson? Who were the two that's coaching?
Dallas Mavericks head coach.
Rick Carlisle? Yeah. Okay.
Nate McMillan.
Yep.
And Mark Jackson, who's not coaching right now.
Yep.
And I've been on record saying the Lakers would win a championship with LeBron James. But if somehow, some way, they go after Mark Jackson, all bets are off. I believe LeBron James will win another NBA title because I believe Mark Jackson can lure the talent to Los Angeles better than Magic and LeBron at this point.
Oh, well, let me ask you this question. How come you haven't mentioned Ty Lue?
No.
Why not?
No.
I'm asking. Why not?
This is my take on the Ty Lue situation, you know, about all these coaches, even with Steve Kerr. They took over ready-made teams. I want a guy who's built the team up like Mark Jackson. He built the Golden State Warriors. He told the whole world he had the best backcourt ever. He changed the landscape of the NBA. Give him the opportunity to show the world with ready-made talent that's already ready to go. I believe Mark Jackson can win the NBA championship next year if that happens. Now, I've been on record with KD, but if the Lakers can somehow get Mark Jackson, it's all best. Maybe KD or Kyrie decides to go to Los Angeles.
All right, here's my question to you. What evidence do you have that Mark Jackson, you know I love me some Mark Jackson, that's my boy. But what evidence do you have that Mark Jackson will be able to recruit to L.A. better than Magic Johnson or LeBron?
I'm going to tell you why. Draymond Green, if he's listening, he will call the show right now. If any other coach in the NBA that drafted Draymond Green probably wouldn't be in the NBA right now based off his personality. Mark Jackson has the ability to galvanize the troops and put personalities together. He built Golden State to what it is today, kind of like what Dungy did with Tampa Bay, but even better. And he didn't get the opportunity to finish the job. You give him a LeBron, an Anthony Davis, and a Kyrie, or LeBron and KD and another guy, all bets are off. He will finish the deal. That's just my beliefs. Mm-hmm. If you want to make a splash, you go after Mark Jackson. If you want to go with the coach that's in the NBA, try to get Rick Carlisle or Nate McMillan. But I think your number one guy should be Mark Jackson.
Before I let you go, I got a quick comment to make to you before I let you go. The more I listen to Boston and see what's transpiring in terms of their temperament, the less secure I feel about thinking they're going to come out of the East. And I damn sure don't think Kyrie Irving is staying. Your quick comments to that before I let you go.
Well, I would throw this out here. KD was entertaining Boston before Golden State. And I still say it's Boston Golden State NBA Finals. Because I believe Boston will beat Indiana. Then they will beat the Milwaukee Bucks because the Greek Freak, you know, he's not a closer. And I think when it gets down to the conference finals against Toronto or Philadelphia, I think, you know, I'm putting all the money on Kyrie Irving. He'll close the deal. He'll lose in 6 games to Golden State in the NBA Finals, and then we'll see what happens this summer.
Gotcha. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. That's my man, Champ, in Detroit. He's my Carlton on basketball when it comes to LeBron. You know how Carlton hates on Bill Belichick Well, this man, Champ, hates on LeBron every chance he gets. So I love having him on. He knows his basketball. I can tell you that much. He damn sure knows his basketball. By the way, do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacids stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Prilosec OTC, that style. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Back with your calls and more in a minute.
I heard Nick callers today saying, let's get Ja Morant. If we win the lottery, we should draft him instead of Zion. This tournament does so much good for so many of these programs to raise their profile and celebrate the sport. It's great. But the negative to this tournament is because it's the only thing that everybody in America kind of, gathers around the water cooler, fills out a bracket in your office pool. This is what we watch. We have a tendency to vastly overrate the results that March Madness produces. So as great as the NCAA tournament is, it is the single worst way to determine a champion in any sport if you want an authentic champion. How many World Series would the Yankees have won throughout baseball history if every series they played immediately was advanced to Game 7? How many championships would the Golden State Warriors right now have if every playoff series they had immediately advanced to Game 7? The only other sport that plays an automatic one and done as part of their playoffs is football, and you have no choice but to play it that way in football. And every year there is kind of an eye-opening upset in the NFL playoffs, college football as well, because it's automatically Game 7. And the nature of basketball, the best teams in the country are going to lose 3 or 4 games, which is like 1 out of every 8 to 10 games they play, which means there's a 1 in 10 chance they're going to lose one of these games in the NCAA tournament, and you're going to win 6 of them in a row to win the national championship. If all of the playoffs and all the other sports were immediately advanced to Game 7, you'd have radically different opinions of players and teams and coaches than you have that have won championship after championship, because they've got the much larger sample size of home court advantage in 7-game series to prove themselves.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, being brought to you by Prilosec OTC. Kick your antacid habit with Prilosec OTC. Plus, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and your car insurance. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Andrew, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, man.
Hey, what's up, Stephen?
I'm good. Talk to me. What's up?
Man, Boston, by the way. All I want to say is, number one, I'm a huge fan. I've been following you since I was 13 years old. I'm an aspiring sports broadcaster myself. And just want to say, man, you're my hero, and I've always dreamed of talking to you, brother. So
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You got a voice for radio, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. So anyways, I just want to call real quick and talk about Rob Gronkowski. He's near and dear to my heart. I'm a diehard Boston sports fan, born and raised. So I'm very blessed to be one.
My man, let me give you a piece of advice, because you're in this industry. You want to get in this industry, right?
Yes, sir.
You got to be direct and to the point.
Yes, sir.
You're dancing around too much.
All right,
Come on, I'm right here. Let's go.
All right, I got you, Stephen A. Anyways, to the point, Gronkowski was a huge part of our team, and I want to ask you, who do you think would be a great replacement, a realistic replacement, and if we even need to replace him at all?
I have no idea. But you do have to replace him. I mean, this is a team whose success has been predicated on utilizing their tight ends. Once upon a time, you were fantasizing because you had Gronkowski along with Hernandez. And so you were looking at it from that perspective. And obviously, when you got Brady and you want to get rid of that ball inside of 2 seconds, because you got a quarterback that's over 40 years of age, Gronkowski assisted tremendously in that, along with the Amendolas and Edelmans of the world and what have you, in the past. That's no longer the case outside of Edelman. So because of it, you got to figure out a way to offset that. And I don't know how you do it yet. I don't know the answer to that question.
Absolutely. And I think it all depends. Honestly, you could put anyone on there and we would be good. So,
like, for example, you got tight ends right now showing up on the screen. Steven Anderson, Matt Lacoste, Jacob Hollister, Ryan Izzo. I mean, really? I mean, think about it. Come on.
We got Belichick.
Yo, we don't know. Listen, Belichick can't play for you. Belichick can schematically, he's brilliant. But Belichick can't block for you. He can't catch for you. He can't run routes for you. You got to do that on your own. But I appreciate the call, Andrew. Thank you so much for the call. Call back anytime, buddy. Thanks a lot. Let's go to John. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, John?
Hey, Stephen A. How you feeling? Love the show.
Thank you, bro. Go ahead. Talk to me.
Listen, last time when you talk about the Mets, you have to understand the Mets are a big market team that spends money like a small market team. Syndergaard is
hold on. Excuse me. There's no lack of understanding. Anything that I was lacking in understanding about the New York Mets, all you got to do is listen to my man Don Juan LaGreca on Michael K. Show. You'll know everything you know about it because he's the only one willing to talk about the Mets. Nobody else wants to even talk about it.
And listen, I've been following the Mets since '64, and I understand they didn't want to pay Seaver in the '70s, and it got ugly. The thing is, Syndergaard's going to run into the same thing when his time comes.
Mm-hmm. And listen, that's why I applaud him for speaking up the way that he did, though, because the reality of the situation is that you never know. The money that deGrom ends up getting, assuming that happens, could end up costing Syndergaard, but he didn't care because right is right. When you have somebody this elite and performs at that level, particularly for a Mets franchise that's only been to the postseason twice in 11 years, you got a lot of damn nerves.
You're right.
You really do. To have somebody this great and you don't take care of them, particularly when the free agent market just saw Verlander taken care of, Chris Sale taken care of, and you don't take care of Jacob deGrom? That's a problem.
That makes sense. One more thing, Stephen?
Yes.
Please. With Tom Izzo, that was a non-story, like you said. If these guys that are so offended by it, they should watch the 30 for 30 film, The Last Days of Night. They would have a heart attack.
Listen, Knight went too far, too excessive. Okay? And I'm not saying that a coach yelling at you is ideal, particularly in public, like my man Michael Thompson pointed out. I get that. My point is, it did not warrant the coverage that it got where people are being so judgmental because he's getting out of freshman Aaron Henry. If you're that freshman Aaron Henry, guess what? It's a problem if a coach is questioning your effort and your willingness to get back on defense. If you aspire to go pro, guess what? If I got to question your effort 33 to 35 games of a season, what the hell are you going to do on the NBA level when you got 82 games plus you getting paid? What are you going to do then? It clearly wasn't the first time he was getting on this guy. We know he always gets on guys. He's fiery. That's what he does. That's what he does. It's ridiculous.
You're right, Stephen.
Again, we're not talking about assault, harassment, and all of that other stuff. No, that's serious. We get that. I'm talking about how soft our society has become. And you know what I call it? I call it the Oprah-fied society. I call it Oprah-fied. You know what I'm saying? In other words, there's always an explanation. Oh, we've got to invent. And I love me Oprah. She's a goddess. She's the queen. But my goodness, when I talk, because Gayle King's a friend of mine, and these are the kind of things I say, you got to be kidding me. I mean, everything's a federal case. We've got to investigate and we've got to figure this out and we've got to psychoanalyze everything because, oh my God, why do we have to do that? Stop. It's sports. It's sports. Coaches yell.
What was wrong with him?
I just can't get it. It's just it's so soft. It's driving me crazy. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Robert. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Robert?
Hi, Stephen A. Glad to be on the show. I'm going to make a controversial statement about the Giants.
Oh, sure.
I think the Giants... Hello?
Yeah, man. You're live. Go ahead.
I think the Giants should take a page out of Jimmy Johnson. I think they should take Saquon Barkley and get a various draft pick. And the only reason I'm saying that because by the time... Stop.
Are you saying that the New York Giants should trade Saquon Barkley?
Look, I'm I'm a large Saquon Barkley fan. I vouch for him for the Giants to draft him. But I'm saying, by the time the Giants get back to that level again, he's going to be used up because most running back lasts for 5 years.
So you are saying they should trade Saquon Barkley?
Jimmy Johnson did that with
So you are saying this is a yes or no answer? You are saying yes or no? Are you saying that they should trade Saquon Barkley?
For various, and you could get
Have a nice day. Bye. I'm not listening to you. First of all, I'm not listening to you for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's idiotic. Number two, you don't get to avoid answering my question. I asked you a direct yes or no question. It would have continued had you answered my question, but you didn't. You tried to be evasive. Okay? Not happening. Sorry. Goodbye. Let's go to Willie. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What up, Stephen A? Love the show, man. You're absolutely right on the Tim Izzo thing. It's a travesty what's going on with that. I heard the last caller talking about trading Saquon Barkley. That is totally moronic. My concern, though, with the Giants, I'm a Raider fan, so I kind of understand what the fans are going through.
Raider fan, huh? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I understand what the fans are going through in New York, but Eli clearly is at the end of his rope.
But check this out. You know what makes me laugh, Willie? He at the end of his rope, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Right.
He's missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years. When did he get to the end? He's missed the playoffs 6 times in the last 7 years.
It's been more than a few years, Stephen A. I agree with you. But there's the thing with that, though. I think if they somehow would be idiotic enough to trade Saquon Barkley and pass on Dwayne Harris, what are you telling your fans?
I thought about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Let me throw this by you because it's important. I agree with you on its face because what they say about Haskins, he seems to be that dude, right?
Right.
But here's the deal. The Giants have the number 6 pick and they get this kid Metcalf, this wide receiver, Metcalf. They also picked up the number 17 overall pick in the first round. So they got 2 first-round picks. And if they're going to get this quarterback lock out of Missouri, okay, what's the problem?
He may not be there.
I'm saying that. But what I'm saying to you, here's what I'm asking you. Tell me what would be wrong if the Giants drafted a quarterback other than Haskins and also got the guy out of Missouri.
The problem I have with that, Stephen A., is that if they are settling, if he's really not their guy, if Haskins is really their guy, they got to do whatever they got to do to get him. If they don't get Haskins,
listen. Drew Lock ain't Haskins. Had 28 touchdowns, completed nearly 63% of his passes. We get that he can play, and some people say he's got a greater upside. I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know. But my question to you is, if they got him and Metcalf instead of Haskins, how would you feel?
They will be okay.
Okay.
Just okay.
That's all I need to know. I got to bounce. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. 888-SAY ESPN. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. As the new season gets underway, the TuneIn app has every baseball fan covered from opening day to the World Series. Listen to your favorite team with live calls for every MLB game with TuneIn Premium. Your all-in-one audio app. TuneIn brings together not only MLB coverage, but other live sports, music, news, and podcasts, including all of your favorite ESPN Radio podcasts, like the Stephen A. Smith Show. Download the TuneIn app.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
If you missed any of the show today, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith Podcast, brought to you by Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Hey, what's in your wallet? Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Royce. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Royce, go.
Hey, Stephen A. Just calling in. Love the show. I heard you talking earlier about LeBron and his decision kind of go to the Lakers. I really think that was a part of him really choosing his personal life over basketball. I think there were better basketball situations. I just wanted to hear your thoughts knowing these players.
Well, I think that when you consider the work that he put in, it doesn't matter to me. He went to Miami for 4 years, did 11 in Cleveland, 7 the first go-round, 4 after Miami. He's earned the right to do what he wants to do, particularly when you're still the best in the world. It's not like he went to the Lakers and averaged 5 points a game. Brother averaging 27 a night, man. putting in triple doubles, doing it all. So I don't care. I really don't. He's earned the right to make that decision. I got to run, Royce. We'll talk tomorrow, though. Thank you. Let's go to Maurice. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Mo.
Hey, Stephen A. I know you laughed the other day about the Mets. I'm being serious now. Okay. Basically, I can't understand the Mets, but that's the Mets, always a little stepchild. The Yankees, we're talking about an organization that let Seaver, Cone, Ryan go. So basically, I'm just so frustrated with them. But I get it. I appreciate Syndergaard standing up for him the same way Syndergaard stood up for deGrom. It's like you were saying how Eli could have stepped up for Beckham. I'm out.
Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. Let's go to Gary. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Gary. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A. I just wanted to get thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the possibility of Avery Johnson taking over as the head coach of the Lakers.
No way in hell. No way in hell. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Why not?
Avery Johnson had a hard time finding an NBA job before he left Alabama. And now that he's negotiating a buyout with Alabama, if it's not already completed, the reality of the situation, some of the luster has dimmed from that shine. He had a good moment where he took Alabama to the NCAA tournament. He's one of my favorite people to talk to. I love him personally. Very, very knowledgeable about the game of basketball. But I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that the Los Angeles Lakers are going to bring him near the head coach. It'll be Ty Lue or Mark Jackson, somebody like that. It will not be an Avery Johnson.
Even given his body of work with the Mavericks?
Man, did you not understand what I just said?
Got you.
I told you definitively there is no way in hell. How much more clear can I be?
I got you.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Ty Lue, champion, 3 straight finals appearances, coach LeBron James, still respected by LeBron James. They're friends, so I'm hugging one another in the Las Vegas Summer League after LeBron had announced he's coming to L.A. Mark Jackson, his resume speaks for itself. And who knows? Unless you could get Coach K to leave Duke and Johnny Dawkins could become the next head coach for Duke. That would be interesting. But we'll talk about that another day. Anyway, got to get on out of here. But I'll be back in 22 hours. Until then, it's Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love.
Hey, what's up? It's Will Kane. Coming up right after Stephen A. Smith. Join us on the Will Kane